What if your body already knows, something your mind hasn't caught up to yet? What if the discomfort you're feeling right now isn't a problem? What if it's a signal? Tonight, the new moon is speaking, and it chose you to hear it. There is a moment, and maybe you've already felt it, where something inside you quietly breaks. Not breaks down, breaks open. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It doesn't come with a roadmap or a neat explanation. It arrives in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday. It arrives when you're lying awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering why you feel so unsettled when on the surface, nothing has technically gone wrong. It arrives as a low hum in your chest that says, something is changing. And if you've been feeling that lately, if things that used to feel comfortable now feel suffocating, if relationships that once felt safe now feel draining, if food, noise, environments, or even conversations you used to tolerate now feel like sandpaper against your soul, then you need to hear what I'm about to tell you, because none of that is random. The June 15th new moon is not just an astronomical event. For those who are spiritually attuned, for those whose nervous systems are sensitive, whose inner world runs deep, whose soul has been quietly moving towards something greater, this new moon is an activation, and your body already knows. In spiritual traditions, across thousands of years, the new moon has been regarded as a threshold, a thinning of the veil between what was and what is becoming. It is the darkest night in the lunar cycle, the moment of maximum stillness before the light returns. But stillness, as any awakened soul will tell you, is not emptiness. Stillness is fullness waiting to be born. And right now, as this new moon builds its energy tonight into the 15th, something ancient is awakening in the collective field. A frequency is rising. A signal is being sent. And the ones who can feel it, they're the ones experiencing exactly what you may be experiencing right now. Restlessness without reason. A sudden intolerance for things that used to be fine. A bone-deep knowing that something has to change, even if you can't name what it is yet. Your soul is already showing you the path. Stay with me, because over the next few minutes, we're going to walk through exactly what your body may be rejecting right now, and why every single one of those rejections is not a crisis. It is a confirmation that the new moon chose you, that you are not falling apart. You are falling into alignment. Your body is the messenger. Let's talk about the body, because in Western culture, we've been trained to distrust it. We've been told to push through, ignore the fatigue, override the anxiety, take something for the headache, and keep moving. But the mystics knew something the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want you to sit with. Your body is not a machine that breaks down. Your body is a receiver. It picks up frequencies that your conscious mind cannot process fast enough to understand. It catalogs emotional residue, energetic imprints, and cosmic shifts with a precision that no instrument can replicate. And when something in your environment, a person, a place, a pattern, a habit, moves out of resonance with the frequency you are becoming, your body will tell you. Not politely, not with a memo or a gentle nudge. It will tell you with tightening in your chest when you walk into certain rooms. It will tell you with a sudden wave of exhaustion after spending time with certain people. It will tell you with nausea, headaches, tension in the jaw, heaviness in the solar plexus, all the places where unexpressed truth tends to live. And right now, in the energy field building around the June 15th new moon, that somatic intelligence is turned up to full volume. New moons, astronomically speaking, occur when the sun and moon align in the same zodiac sign, creating a moment of energetic amplification in that sign's themes. But the new moon's spiritual effect runs deeper than any sign's characteristics. It is a reset point, a zero moment, a cosmic exhale before the next breath. And in the hours leading up to it, which you may be in right now, the veil between your conscious self and your deeper soul intelligence becomes almost gossamer thin. This is why so many spiritually sensitive people report strange physical symptoms in the days around a new moon: unusual fatigue, even after adequate sleep, heightened sensitivity to sound, light, smell, or crowds, emotional waves that seem to come from nowhere, grief, longing, sudden clarity, unexpected tears, a loss of appetite or unusual cravings, dreams that feel more real than waking life, a sense that time is moving strangely. These are not disorders. These are not signs that something is wrong with you. These are signs that your body is recalibrating. It is shedding the frequency of who you were and making room for the frequency of who you are becoming. In energy medicine, this is called a vibrational upgrade. In spiritual traditions, it is called a purification. In everyday language, you are changing, and change, even beautiful change, can feel like loss before it feels like liberation. So if your body has been speaking to you lately, in whispers, in aches, in sudden revulsions toward things that used to feel normal, listen. Do not override it. Do not rush back to the old comfort. Your body is not betraying you. It is protecting your future. The 7 rejections. Now I want to walk you through something specific. Because when the new moon chooses you, when it initiates a deeper awakening in your soul, there are consistent, recognizable signs, and they often show up as rejections. Sudden, surprising, sometimes uncomfortable rejections of things you used to accept without question. Here are 7 of them. 1. You can no longer tolerate surface-level conversations. It used to be fine. The small talk, the weather, the "I'm good, how are you?" exchange that means nothing to either person. But lately, those conversations leave you feeling hollow, almost sad. You don't want to talk about the game or the gossip. You want to talk about what keeps people up at night. You want to talk about what they're actually feeling. And when the conversation stays shallow, something in you just withdraws. This is your soul signaling that it is hungry for depth, for truth, for real connection. The new moon is calling you to a new level of intimacy with others and with yourself. 2. Loud, chaotic, or crowded environments have become genuinely painful. What used to be just a little overwhelming now feels like an assault. Noisy restaurants, crowded social events, the constant digital buzz of notifications and alerts. It's as though your nervous system is refusing to normalize the chaos anymore. Spiritually, this is profound. You are becoming quieter on the inside, and the external noise is now mismatched with your internal frequency. Your soul is seeking sanctuary. It is asking for stillness, for sacred space, for the kind of quiet where the deeper voice can finally be heard. 3. You've started to feel drained by people you used to love spending time with. This one is often the hardest, because it can feel like something is wrong with you, like you've become cold, or ungrateful, or selfish. But listen to what's actually happening. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. Some people in your life are running on a frequency that no longer matches yours. And when you spend time with them, there is an energetic drain, not because they are bad people, but because the resonance is no longer there. Your soul is showing you where you need to create more distance. And that is not a punishment for anyone. It is an act of love for yourself and ultimately for them. 4. Old habits that you used to rely on for comfort have stopped working. The glass of wine at the end of the night that used to take the edge off. The late-night scrolling that used to numb you to sleep. The overworking, the overeating, the overspending. All the old ways you used to manage what you weren't yet ready to face. Something about these crutches has lost its grip, and in its place, there is a strange, uncomfortable clarity. You don't want to numb anymore. Some part of you is ready, even if another part is terrified, to feel what's actually there. 5. You feel a deep repulsion toward anything that feels false or performative. Fake smiles, corporate language, spiritual bypassing, social media highlight reels. Anything that feels like a mask worn over a truth no one wants to admit. You see through it now, and it bothers you in a way it simply didn't before. This is your discernment becoming razor sharp. It is one of the most powerful spiritual gifts available to a human soul. Use it with wisdom and without judgment, but never deny it. 6. You can no longer stay in spaces where you feel unseen or undervalued. Jobs, relationships, family dynamics, social circles, the places where you have quietly shrunk yourself to fit. You feel them now as physical constriction, like wearing clothes 3 sizes too small. Your soul is expanding, and it will no longer consent to spaces that require it to contract. 7. Your body literally rejects certain foods, substances, or environments. Unexplained sensitivities, sudden intolerances, foods that used to be fine that now make you feel unwell, alcohol that now gives you more anxiety than relief, certain smells or places that make you feel instantly drained or anxious. This is your body clearing its vessel. This is your physical form aligning with your energetic transformation. Trust it. Work with it. You are being prepared. The science of the soul shift. Now, I want to speak to the part of you that needs more than a feeling to believe this, because some of you watching right now are simultaneously moved and skeptical, and I want to honor that, because skepticism, genuine, curious skepticism, is itself a spiritual quality. It asks for deeper truth. It refuses to settle for comfortable illusions. So let's go deeper. The human body operates as an electromagnetic field. Every organ, every cell, every thought, every emotion generates a measurable frequency. The heart alone produces the largest electromagnetic field in the human body, 60 times greater in amplitude than the brain's field and detectable several feet beyond the physical body. This isn't mysticism. This is what the HeartMath Institute has been measuring for decades. Now understand something. The moon's gravitational pull affects the tides, vast bodies of water covering over 70% of this planet's surface. Your body is approximately 60% water. The idea that the moon does not also affect you, your fluids, your electromagnetic field, your nervous system, requires more faith to believe than the alternative. Ancient cultures across every continent on Earth built their calendars, their rituals, their agriculture, and their medicine around lunar cycles. They didn't do this because it was a nice metaphor. They did it because it worked, because they understood what we are only now rediscovering in consciousness research, that the human being is not a closed system. We are porous, we are responsive, we are in constant dynamic communication with the field around us. And that field, right now, tonight, as this new moon crests, it is electric. In astrology, new moons initiate new cycles. They plant seeds. They clear what is complete. And the specific zodiac energy of each new moon colors what kind of seeds are being planted, what kind of clearing is being called for. But beyond the astrology, there is a universal truth that holds for every new moon, in every sign, in every year. The new moon is a portal, and portals, by their nature, require you to release what you're carrying before you can walk through. You cannot carry the old version of yourself into the new frequency. This is why the body begins to reject things before the mind understands why. The soul is always ahead of the intellect. The soul has already said yes to the transformation. The body follows next, beginning to release what doesn't belong. The mind comes last, often confused, often resistant, often trying to diagnose or explain away what is actually an initiation. If you are in that confused mental space right now, trying to make a logical sense of why you suddenly feel so different, so restless, so awake and uncomfortable all at once, you are not broken. You are in the portal. And the only thing you need to do right now is not go back. What your soul is actually clearing. Let's talk about what is actually being cleared right now, because awakening isn't just about gaining new gifts and new vision. It is first, and sometimes primarily, about loss. The loss of who you thought you were. The loss of what you thought you needed. The loss of the stories you've been telling yourself about your worthiness, about your limitations, about what's possible for your life, for years, perhaps for decades. And the June 15th new moon? It is a cosmic fire, not the kind that destroys, the kind that purifies. The alchemists called it the nigrido, the blackening, the darkening that must precede the illumination, the dissolution of the old form before the new form can be revealed. The new moon is the nigrido in the lunar cycle, the darkest night, the dissolving point. And what is being dissolved right now, in you, in the collective, is heavy. It is the weight of other people's expectations that you took on as your own identity. It is the grief you never fully allowed yourself to feel. It is the anger you turned inward because it felt safer than expressing it outward. It is the version of yourself that learned to be small so that others would feel comfortable. It is the belief, quiet, deeply lodged, resistant to logic, that you are somehow too much, or not enough, or fundamentally unworthy of the life your soul actually came here to live. These things are being burned, not because the universe is punishing you, but because you have outgrown them. You cannot carry these weights into the next chapter of your life. They are too heavy for where you are going. And your soul, which has been gently, patiently, lovingly trying to shed them for years, has found in this new moon a moment of sufficient energetic support to finally let go. And when old layers release from the soul, the body often goes through a period of recalibration. You might feel it as sadness. You might feel it as a grief that doesn't attach to anything specific. A free-floating sorrow that is actually the ache of leaving behind what is complete. You might feel it as anger. Clean, clarifying anger that says, this is not okay anymore, and means it this time. You might feel it as an exhaustion so deep it seems to come from somewhere past the physical. Or you might feel it as an unusual lightness, a sudden, unexpected joy that seems to come from nowhere, as though a window you didn't know was closed has been flung open, and the wind is finally moving through. All of these are signs of clearing. All of them are welcome. All of them are sacred. And when people ask you why you're emotional right now, why you seem different, why you've pulled back or gone quiet or suddenly changed, you don't owe anyone an explanation. You are in the middle of a soul ceremony, and not everyone has been invited. The people who feel this, I want to speak now to a specific group of people. Not everyone feels the new moon this intensely. Not everyone experiences the kind of somatic soul-level disruption we've been describing tonight. Some people move through life relatively undisturbed by cosmic shifts, and there is no judgment in that. Different souls are on different timelines, in different chapters of their spiritual journey. But there are certain people, and you may be one of them, who feel everything. You have always felt everything. You felt the tension in the room before anyone spoke. You felt the grief beneath a person's smile. You sensed the shift in energy when something was wrong, even when every surface appearance said everything was fine. You were called sensitive, maybe too sensitive. Maybe you were told to toughen up, to stop overthinking, to not take things so personally. And so you learned, as best you could, to muffle that sensitivity, to dial it down, to function in a world that wasn't built for people who feel at the depth you feel. But here's what that sensitivity actually is. It is a spiritual instrument. It is the mechanism by which your soul interacts with the larger field of consciousness. It is how you receive guidance, how you read energy, how you navigate by something deeper than logic alone. And the new moon, it activates this instrument. It turns up the volume on everything you were already quietly sensing. This is why, for highly sensitive people and empaths, new moons can be genuinely overwhelming. The physical symptoms are more pronounced. The emotional clearing is more intense. The sense of upheaval is more acute. You are not more broken than other people. You are more attuned. And attunement, real, deep, unfiltered attunement, is not a liability. It is the very quality that allows certain souls to serve as bridges between the seen and the unseen, between the old world and the new, between the person someone is right now and the person they are becoming. The spiritually sensitive ones, the deep feelers, the quiet observers, the ones who have always known there was more to life than what appears on the surface. These are the ones this new moon is specifically calling forward, not to lead in the conventional sense, not to gather followers or build platforms, but to anchor, to hold the frequency of deep truth in their own lives so that others can feel the possibility of it, to heal the lineages they were born into, to break patterns that have run for generations, to say, with their very existence, that a different way of being is possible. If you've ever felt like you don't quite belong to the ordinary world, if you felt like you're waiting for something, a signal, a beginning, a permission, this is the signal. The June 15th new moon has looked at the landscape of your life and said, it's time. The invitation. So we've talked about what the new moon is dissolving. Now let's talk about what it's building. Because this is not a story about loss. It never was. Every clearing is a preparation. Every release is a making of room. Every death, in the spiritual sense, is the precise shape of the resurrection that follows it. The June 15th new moon is not just here to take things from you. It is here to show you what becomes possible when those things are gone. Think about it. If you are no longer required to maintain relationships that drain you, what becomes available in that reclaimed energy? If you are no longer numbing yourself with habits that keep you comfortable but stuck, what depth of feeling, what creative fire, what sense of aliveness opens up? If you are no longer shrinking yourself to fit spaces that cannot hold your full truth, what does it feel like to finally, fully take up the space you were meant to occupy? This is the invitation of the new moon. It is not a passive invitation. It is not a guarantee. It is not a rescue. It is a co-creation. The universe meets you in the direction of your becoming. It amplifies the movement you're already making. It opens doors in the walls you thought were solid. But you have to take the first step. And the first step, the one the new moon is asking of you tonight, is not dramatic. It doesn't require you to quit your job, or end relationships, or move across the country. The first step is internal. It is the decision, made in the deepest chamber of your being, that you are no longer willing to betray yourself for the comfort of the familiar. that you are no longer willing to pretend, that you are no longer willing to delay the life your soul has been building toward. It is the decision to say yes, even in fear, even in uncertainty, even with no clear roadmap, to whatever is trying to emerge through you. The new moon plants seeds in the dark, and you cannot always see what is being planted. You cannot always see the direction the root is growing or the shape the flower will eventually take, but you can feel, in your body, in your bones, in that quiet place beneath all the noise, that something is alive in you, something real, something yours, something worth protecting, worth nurturing, worth saying yes to. Right now, in this moment, with the new moon energy building around you, make the internal declaration. Not out loud if you don't want to, not on paper if that's not your way. Just in the sacred silent space of your own awareness. Say, I choose my becoming over my comfort. Say, I trust what my body is telling me. Say, I release what is complete and I welcome what is coming. And then, watch. Watch what shifts. Watch what opens. Watch what begins to move in your life in the days following this new moon. Because what is set in motion in the dark of the moon has a way of blooming in the most unexpected and beautiful directions. Signs you were chosen for this cycle. Let me give you something concrete. A list, not of symptoms of illness, not of signs of struggle, but of signatures. Energetic signatures that indicate you have been called into this new moon cycle with particular intention. Read these as checkpoints, not diagnoses. Feel into each one and notice what resonates. You may have been chosen for this cycle if you woke up between 2 and 4 a.m. in recent nights. Not with anxiety exactly, but with a feeling of presence, as if something in the room with you was not quite of this world, as if the thinning of the veil was literal for a moment, and you felt it. You may have been chosen if you've experienced sudden clarity about something you've been confused about for months or years. A decision that used to feel impossible suddenly has an obvious answer. A relationship or situation that has been murky suddenly comes into sharp focus. You may have been chosen if you feel an inexplicable pull in a new direction, toward a different city, a different creative path, a different way of spending your days, and the pull has become impossible to ignore, even if you can't yet explain it. You may have been chosen if you've had moments in the last few days of feeling profoundly, unexpectedly grateful, for no reason you can name, gratitude that seems to well up from somewhere deeper than your circumstances. You may have been chosen if animals, children, or highly intuitive people have been responding to you differently, drawn to you, looking at you with that particular attention that those who haven't yet learned to discount their perception tend to give to people radiating at a particular frequency. You may have been chosen if you've been receiving messages in dreams, in overheard conversations, in song lyrics that seem to answer questions you hadn't spoken aloud, in numbers that repeat themselves until you stop and ask what they mean. You may have been chosen if something in you already knew to click on this video. Not because the algorithm served it to you, but because some part of your awareness, operating beneath the conscious surface, recognized that this was the message it had been waiting for. And if multiple items on this list landed in your body as a yes, as a quiet but undeniable recognition, then let me say this to you, directly and without qualification. You are not confused. You are not falling apart. You are not too sensitive or too intense or too much. You are a soul in the middle of an upgrade. And upgrades are uncomfortable while they're happening. But look at what you gain when they're complete. You gain yourself, fully, finally, without apology. You gain the clarity that comes from having released what was false. You gain the capacity to love more deeply because you are no longer bleeding yourself dry to maintain what doesn't serve you. You gain access to a creative, spiritual, relational life that operates at a frequency you've only ever glimpsed before. A frequency that now, through this new moon, is becoming your baseline. This is what was waiting for you on the other side of the discomfort. This is what the June 15th new moon came to deliver. How to work with this energy. The new moon doesn't ask much of you, but it asks something, and what it asks is intentionality. It asks you to meet it consciously, to show up with some degree of awareness and willingness in the window of its greatest power, ideally within 48 hours of the exact new moon moment. Here is how to work with the June 15th new moon energy in a way that honors what it's offering. First, create space for silence. Not productive silence, not the silence of a meditation app with a 10-minute timer. Deep, unstructured, patient silence. Even 20 minutes of sitting, with no phone, no music, no task, and simply noticing what arises. What thoughts surface when you stop running from them? What feelings are there, waiting patiently beneath all the busyness? What does your body want to tell you when you finally stop long enough to listen? Second, write. The new moon is a portal for intention setting. But before you set intentions, clear the channel. Write without structure. Write without editing. Let it be ugly and non-linear and full of contradictions. Write about what you're releasing. Write about the old version of yourself you are choosing to let go. Write about the patterns, the stories, the relationships, the self-concepts that no longer fit. And then, write what you're calling in. Not with elaborate detail and precision, but with emotional truth. Not, I want this specific job at this specific salary, but I want to wake up feeling like my work means something. I want to feel lit up by how I spend my days. I want to use my actual gifts in the world. Feel it as you write it, because the universe responds to frequency, not just words. Third, do something symbolic for the release. The symbolic gesture is not superstition. It is the language the soul understands, the language of image and action and ritual. This can be as simple as burning what you wrote about releasing, or standing under running water and visualizing what you're letting go flowing away from you, or burying something small in the earth as a way of saying to the great mystery, I am done carrying this. I give it back to you. The specific act matters less than the intention behind it. Fourth, spend time in nature if you possibly can. The moon's energy is amplified in natural settings. Even a few minutes outside, feet on grass, face turned upward, simply breathing, can shift your energetic state more profoundly than any elaborate ritual. If you can see the sky tonight, stand under it, even if the moon is dark. Especially because the moon is dark. There is power in the darkness. There is wisdom in the absence of visible light. Let yourself be held by the dark for a moment. Fifth, rest without guilt. Your body is doing significant work right now. Energetic work is physical work. The clearing, the recalibration, the expansion of your field, these things require resources. Sleep if you need to. Sleep more than feels reasonable. Cancel what can be cancelled. Protect your energy with an almost fierce tenderness. You are in ceremony. Treat yourself accordingly. The promise. We are near the end now, and I want to leave you with something real. Not a promise that everything will be easy. Not a guarantee that the path forward will be clear and smooth and free of uncertainty. But something true. Something your soul already knows, even if your mind sometimes forgets it. You were built for this. Not in the sense of some grandiose cosmic plan where every detail of your life was scripted in advance, but in the sense that the very things that made you feel other, the sensitivity, the depth, the relentless inner life, the inability to settle for less than what is real, are the precise qualities required for the kind of transformation this new moon is initiating. You could not do what you are being called to do if you were different. You could not hold the frequency you are being asked to hold if you had not been shaped exactly as you were shaped, by everything you've survived, everything you've lost, everything you've loved, and everything you've had the courage to let go. The discomfort of this season is not the universe abandoning you. It is the universe trusting you, trusting that you can handle the dissolution of the old, trusting that you will not run back to what is comfortable at the expense of what is true, trusting that you have the spiritual backbone to stand in the uncertain middle space between who you were and who you are becoming, and not flinch. The June 15th new moon chose you because you were ready, even if you don't feel ready, even if you feel like you're barely holding it together. Readiness, in the language of the soul, is not the absence of fear. Readiness is the willingness to go anyway. And you are here, tonight, watching this, listening. That is not coincidence. That is response. Your soul responded to the call. And now, standing at the threshold, the only question remaining is this: will you walk through? The new moon holds the door open. It does not push you. It does not demand. It simply creates the conditions, the thinning, the clearing, the amplification of everything that is true in you. And it waits. It waits to see what you will choose. And I believe, with everything I carry about the nature of consciousness and the architecture of the soul's journey, I believe that if you have made it to the end of this video, you already know your answer. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know what comes next. You don't have to feel certain or unafraid or ready in the conventional sense. You just have to take one step, one honest, courageous, soul-aligned step in the direction of the life that is waiting for you. The new moon will handle the rest. Thank you for being here tonight, for watching until the end, because that tells me something about you. It tells me you take your inner life seriously. It tells me you're not here for comfortable answers. You're here for true ones. And the truth is this: you are in the middle of something important, something your future self will look back on as the turning point, not the catastrophe it might feel like, the beginning. So tonight, before you sleep, sit with the question your soul has been quietly asking you. You know which one, the one you keep almost asking and then setting aside. Let the new moon hold space for that question. You don't need the answer yet. Just let yourself finally ask it. And if this video moved something in you, if it named something you've been feeling but couldn't find words for, share it with someone who needs to hear it too, because you probably know someone else who is in the middle of their own initiation tonight. Someone else the new moon chose. Subscribe if you want to keep walking this path together. And remember, what is leaving was never lost. What is coming was always yours, and the moon always returns. Good night, and welcome to your new chapter.